Right now, a single stretch of contested geography in region is dictating the flow of global shipping and the defense posturing of three separate continents. To understand how a localized dispute escalated to this level, we have to strip away the political noise. Our focus is strictly on the geopolitical data, verifiable troop movements, and the unchangeable facts of the terrain. Because this region acts as a primary valve for global energy exports, a disruption here forces a reorganization of trade routes and military assets far beyond these borders. For decades, this region operated under a balance of power maintained by a network of mutual trade agreements and monitored demilitarized zones. That stability shattered when the central authority collapsed following a sudden economic crisis. The resulting governance void left an opening for regional factions to rapidly seize power and consolidate resources. The catalyst arrived when a key maritime transit treaty was officially violated. Without warning, critical energy supply lines were severed, leaving dependent nations scrambling for alternative resources. This high-contrast topographical map shows the pre-conflict borders. Within 48 hours of the treaty violation, armed naval vessels established a strict blockade directly across this primary transit strait. 40% of regional GDP relies on these vessels. When the blockade began, the economic cost of inaction for neighboring nations quickly surpassed the risk of military intervention, making a broader multi-faction conflict a matter of geographic necessity. Setting aside the politics, the physical reality on the ground dictates the flow of this conflict. Survival here depends entirely on terrain and supply lines. This 3D map outlines verified positions. Faction A controls the Norman Ridges and deep-water ports. Faction B occupies the southern plains and industrial sector. They meet at a 30-mile contested overlap. Zooming in, impassable surrounding terrain funnels all transport onto a single paved highway. To push forward, Faction A must transport fuel and ammunition across exposed, low-lying ground, leaving their supply convoys vulnerable to artillery fire from the heights. Faction B, dug into the surrounding urban infrastructure, possesses elevated firing positions that provide complete line of sight over those advancing routes. Control of this terrain is synonymous with control of the corridor. Any force that cannot shield their supply convoys from the surrounding ridgelines will eventually exhaust their operational capacity, regardless of their total troop count. The weapons fielded in this corridor represent modern asymmetric warfare. Heavy infantry has been largely sidelined in favor of unmanned systems and automated defense grids. Faction A projects its power using long-range, cost-effective drone swarms. These unmanned aerial vehicles are manufactured rapidly and deployed in waves designed to overwhelm traditional anti-aircraft batteries. This chart compares the maximum strike range of Faction A's offensive drones against the interception radius of Faction B's defense grid. Faction B uses high-altitude radar and surface-to-air missiles to create a localized protective dome over their logistics hubs. The math here dictates the strategy. Faction A launches a drone that costs $20,000 to produce. Faction B must shoot it down using an interceptor missile that costs $2 million. Faction A can afford to lose drones indefinitely, while Faction B's defenses are nearly impenetrable but financially draining. This technological parity has shifted the conflict into a calculated war of economic attrition. Based on these tactical realities and supply burn rates, defense analysts project three distinct data-driven outcomes. Scenario A is a prolonged stalemate. Neither side secures the choke point, and the line of contact freezes in its current position. In this timeline, commercial shipping vessels are forced to reroute thousands of miles around the conflict zone for the next 12 to 18 months, driving up the cost of raw materials worldwide. Scenario B is a diplomatic resolution achieved through calculated concessions. If Faction B's interceptor stockpile is depleted before their industrial base can replenish it, mathematics forces them to the negotiating table. They would likely surrender the southern port facilities to secure a ceasefire. Scenario C is regional escalation. This macro-scale world map illustrates what happens if the conflict breaches the 30-mile corridor. Neighboring proxy states, bound by mutual defense pacts, are pulled directly into the theater. This activation of naval carrier groups creates hard borders between global trading blocs, forcing a split in the international supply chain. Current military supply chain data, specifically the dwindling output of precision munitions factories on both sides, suggests that Scenario A, a grinding, prolonged stalemate, is the most imminent. Zooming out from this immediate regional theater, the broader economic and logistical implications ripple across the entire geopolitical spectrum. The outcome here demonstrates a shifting math in modern engagement. The high-cost barrier to entry for defense is being increasingly tested by low-cost, decentralized technology. As production rates for interceptors and drone components continue to fluctuate, these logistical constraints remain the most reliable metric for tracking the trajectory of topic.